You cannot build a life on what is not working. You can only build a life on what is working and the expansion of that.
I'm Elysia Skye, and this is the Brilliance Method podcast. Through mindful, motivational, and often hilarious conversations with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives, you'll discover new ways to create your life on purpose. Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Brilliance Method. Today is such a special episode because we are having a beautiful conversation with someone who is near and dear to my heart, more than you can even imagine, Andrea Quinn. And Andrea Quinn is a life and business coach. She's an empowerment specialist. She's a speaker and international best-selling author based in Los Angeles with over a decade of experience. One of the things I love most about Andrea is she is direct, she is honest, she is bold, and she is kind. And I cannot wait for you to get to know her. Walking the walk and not just talking the talk is what sets Andrea apart. Her life is based on the principles that she teaches: empowerment, authenticity, truth, and self-trust. Her previous careers in the corporate and entertainment world also bring a been-there familiarity that her clients really appreciate. Her curriculum, The Quinn Essentials, is a program used by many individuals as well as companies to expand their businesses, inspire communication within groups, and empower people to live their best lives. Andrea also leads her popular women's accomplishment groups, both digitally and in person throughout the US and expanding internationally. And I have taken that class more times than I could probably even count. Her book, The Quinn Essentials for Women, became an international bestseller in just 2 days in December of 2021. Seeing people, especially women, succeed by accomplishing their dreams is her biggest dream come true. And when she's not leading groups, meeting with clients, and giving empowerment talks and seminars, Andrea lives in the Hollywood Hills with her talented husband, who I love so much, Chris, and their fur family. Andrea says, the moment you really see yourself, life begins. Ain't it the truth, Mama?
It is. It is, girl.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have so much fun today.
We are.
And we're going to keep it together. So I'm so pleased that my audience gets to know you. And so many of them already do. It's been a treat for me to send my clients to you, to your workshops, to you personally, to read your book. It makes my job easier when they know what it is that you teach and they can step into alignment with the tools that you teach. And I want to kick this off as people have gotten to know me now, a little bit about the beginning of our journey, which is always fun, especially when I get to bring on a friend. And when I met you, maybe you should tell the story, but I want to say when I met you, it was at the epitome of darkness in my life. And thank God for you, really. And now every day, thank God for us. And I was here. You go ahead. What do you remember about our first encounter?
Well, what I remember was one of the first things was that your name wasn't Elysia is Rad, because you sent me. It wasn't Elysia. Skye was your name. I really thought you said Elysia is Rad, and I didn't know. I thought it was Israd. So
that was my email address. So I was a punk ass kid.
You're old. Yeah. So I had to. I finally got your name straight, right? No, one of the greatest privileges that I had was that the people in your life trusted me enough to collect the money because they sent you to me. They paid for your first session. I don't know if you remember that. And
forgot that.
You forgot that. They paid for you to see me. And you came in very bald and very angry. And how could you not have been? What you had been through was a lot for anyone at any age. But then when I heard your story, I didn't see the story of pain that you were delivering to me. I saw the incredible life purpose that you had if you could get past your anger. And we began to talk about the gifts within the journey that was so unbelievable. I mean, I tried not to drop my jaw a few times just when you started off from, the beginning of your life to where we were that day. And it was like you had experienced a lifetime of lifetimes already at your young age. So that was a really interesting, because I really could see almost like the light peeking behind you as you were telling the story with such anger. And what I love most about you is how you're willing to listen, and how you take responsibility once you know something isn't good for you.
Hmm.
You thought that your anger was a battle call, that your anger was something that was fueling you. And in fact, it was keeping you back. And the
Hmm.
second you realized that anger makes Darth Vader stronger, you began to use the force, which
Hmm.
is your inner light. And your life, your brilliance, is the fact that you became responsible and accountable for how you showed up to yourself.
Hmm.
And
Thank you,
that
love.
was my experience of you, which is, to me, facing cancer and facing some of the things that people have to experience in this lifetime. You took responsibility for even how you talked to yourself about it. No wonder you're living a healthy life,
Hmm.
right?
Thank you. Thank you. And what you said is so relevant right now because there's a lot of angry people in the world. And there's this beautiful quote, since you referenced Darth Vader, I'm going to give you a Yoda quote. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Yes.
So many people feel as though they are truly suffering. And that may or may not be exactly who you are attracting in your life now in your career. But I really appreciate how you saw me. And one of the reasons I asked you this question, because my intention is never to make this all about me on this show, is I want people to get a little peek behind the curtain of how you see people when you first meet them. And it's with such an open heart, so much compassion, and so much grace.
Thank you.
You're welcome, love. My turn. When Andrea walked in the room, okay, first of all, one of my one of my friends, this is such kismet, right? One of my friends had said, "You need to go see Andrea Quinn. She's a life coach." I was like, I don't know about that. I had done therapy when I was younger and da da da. Like you said, I was angry. And I was in such denial that I was angry. I didn't realize how bad I was at being angry. It was a skill I had that I was so bad at, but I was committed to it at the time, and I was like, okay, I'll go. And I decided to be open to it because I wanted to heal. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to feel less frustrated. And you were the perfect person to come across. And that's true for anyone who meets you now at any point in their life.
Mm.
And I went to this studio and you came in and you had your hair in a high pony and you were wearing this blue dress. I think it was denim. And when you came in, I saw this energy around you that I later told you was like the blue fairy in Pinocchio, right? You just had this Disney energy about you, and not in like this fake, cheesy, rainbows coming out of your ass kind of way, but in like just a genuine love, a love story. Like that is who you are when you walk in the room. And I had my guard up, and you come in the room, and I didn't even get to think about it. My guard vanished. It's this magic power that you have, Andrea. And you came in and you had my stuff, you had all the things I pre filled out, and you sat down and you said, I have been looking forward to meeting you. And I think I just started crying because I don't think anyone's ever said that to me before.
It's true.
Yeah,
And it's been my privilege to, have you in my life and as a family member since that day. I mean, that, we connect as souls when we're
hmm,
open to it, right? And
absolutely.
and so you were just like I said in the beginning, when you're accountable for how you show up, what is your intention when you show up, right?
Hmm.
And so all I wanted to do was my intention was to just truly honestly see the person in front of me without putting anything on it. You had your, no hair, dark circles, bit of a tude. You were like all dressed in black and goth and angry. And I was like, oh, I see magic.
Mm.
And, you know, I think that right now a large majority of people don't see magic right now, but we forget a large majority do think they see magic right now. And
Uh-huh.
I'm letting you know that both are in an illusion,
Mm.
the dream
Oh,
within a dream, right?
it is. Row, row,
And
row your
so,
boat.
and so it's about perception, and it's about, you know, being accountable. You know, the joke is, and it's not a joke, people don't come to me for my charming personality. I have to be as clear and as forward moving and as available to being open as I can be, because the only reason anyone comes to me is for trust. So if you're not safe, and we'll find as you begin a conversation with yourself around your life, the person you're not safe with is you. And this is where power comes from, right? This is
Mhm.
power. So many people right now feel unsafe because they have magnified the lack of safety that they have given themselves.
Mm. That's fair.
And when we put something out, for instance, if you talk about frequency, you want to talk about frequency?
I sure do.
Let's talk about frequency. All right, the real definition, the scientific definition of frequency is basically the number of occurrences of a repeating event per unit of time. That's a frequency.
Mhm.
So they use the term frequency also regarding consciousness and levels of consciousness. So the number of occurrences, repeating events per unit of time in your mind.
It's how we're creating our lives.
Correct.
Mhm.
And so right now, there is a division of frequency. And so the thing that I want to, if you study frequency, and which is I do, as you know I do, you look at the world and you think to yourself, okay, this is how it's affecting me, instead of the truth. And the
Yep.
truth is, how are you affecting it? How are you affecting it? How are you showing up? Because, I've always been a rebel.
I love that about you.
You do know me. If you tell me no, I'm going to go, why? And I don't like
Understood.
that,
It's fine. Yep.
right? And so when you rebel against things, you are in resistance. And when you're in resistance, you have no flow. So people think, I thought one of the biggest harmful things in the last 8 years was people were all about the resistance. I'm like, where's the alignment?
Right.
Because if you're in resistance and what we resist persists, so hello, welcome to the world, what you resist persists. So, what if you were to choose frequency? If you study frequency, you understand that two of the lowest human frequencies in spiritual thought are organized religion and politics. So, let's go down there, shall we?
Let's go, because that's what's running the world right now, as it
That's
seems.
not what's running my world. That's not the Quinn experience.
Yeah.
Because
Let's talk about that.
yeah, I have a responsibility to myself, to my choices. We're fighting for our choices right now. A woman's right to choose. Well, I choose joy.
Mhm.
I choose, and this is not denial, I choose a perspective, and I forgive others whose perspectives are not like mine. When you understand, if you want to bring science into it, study quantum entanglement. It's for real. And I ask myself on a regular basis, what are you entangling in? Am I entangling in a thought that is making me join with a group that feels pain? Or am I entangling with a vibration of true power, healing, frequency raising? As that's the only way I can do anything. You
Well,
know,
you already know what your life looks like when you do the opposite.
yeah,
And
it
that wasn't
crumbles.
fun.
It
Hmm.
isn't fun. And I've had a crumbled life and I've done some really stupid things. And because I did it a lot, out of anger. And I really got that I can't see the clear path through the lens of anger.
It's like a fog, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Mhm.
You know, and I'm not saying it's easy. First of all, the human experience is hard, period. I don't know anybody that's unicorn and rainbows. And, I'd have never met that human being.
And that's so fair, because even when you see people and you're like, wow, this must be like their lottery lifetime, their princess lifetime. You don't know what's going on with them. And every time we see somebody who has something we want, right? Whether it's great wealth or great love or whatnot, there is something on the other side of that that they've experienced pain.
Of
And
course they have. It's like almost like the Oscars. I've been fortunate to work with a lot of people in the entertainment industry at a higher level. And, I made a joke one time that the reason the carpet is red they walk about is because it's the blood they shed to get to that night. So
it's
of
fair.
course it would be red, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they don't understand, how many no's and how much pain and how much self-doubt and how many things that people of success have to go through.
So much.
And when you allow other people to tell you what you should believe, that's when we have pain. The media is just somebody's opinion,
Yeah.
and science is just someone's experiment and someone's hypotheses,
Mhm.
which they are trying to debunk. That's what science does. We have a hypothesis, we go after it, and we're going to work really hard to try to debunk it.
Yeah.
So it's actually a journey of failure. Failure can actually change the world
It has to. We have to.
because
How else will we change? How else will we grow?
we're all going to fail because we all have failed. Every
Mhm.
person you think is fabulous has contrast. We all live in contrast. And so this is why it's very important to be responsible for your own life experience.
Mhm.
And whatever you feel your cards have been dealt, are you looking at it as an opportunity? Are you looking at it as a victim?
Mhm. One of my favorite Pearl Jam songs is called Inside Job. And the line in the chorus is, how I choose to feel is how I am.
Yes.
Steve Gleason was a professional football player for the New Orleans Saints, and he was diagnosed with ALS. So he's a man so strong, so powerful, so in his body being a big part of his career, happily
Right.
married, child. And when I saw him in 2016, he was in a wheelchair, much like Stephen Hawking was. And he had to use his eyes to form the sentences for it to come out of the microphone. And he stood next to Mike McCready, the guitar player of Pearl Jam, and he wanted to come out and introduce Inside Job. And so he comes out in his wheelchair, speaking through moving his eyes. And he said, I love this song because how I choose to feel is how I am. And I feel fucking awesome.
I love that. And what a choice. And
What a
and
choice.
yes, there are people that have circumstances that are not as effortless as some people's. However, that doesn't mean they don't have power.
Right.
And
And
the
then they have
power they
choice.
choose is what's going to shift everything for them.
So how do they do that?
You must begin to have a relationship in silence with yourself. You must be able to detach from the outside world and find a corner of sanity. For instance, sitting by yourself, just breathing. And every time a thought comes in your mind, you just go, shh, 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 shh. And sometimes I've shushed myself for 3 minutes. And you just go, or sometimes you sit there and there's a thought of something that's just really bugging you. And I pretend it's a cloud and I go, and I blow it away from me.
I love
Just
that.
blow it away. Because if I can just be quiet, and I don't like to call it meditation because meditation comes with all of these, I can't do that.
Expectations.
Correct. But
Mm-hmm.
what I can do is I can go shh. And the second I go shh, my brain goes to nothing.
That's a
And
great technique.
yeah, even if you shush yourself for a minute, something will open. There is an incredible power in silence. I'm not, I'm not like a lot of people because I have worked so hard to discipline myself. I ruined my life for a very long time and I made a lot of mistakes. And when I really got to know that my perception of my experiences, I could see that I was the common denominator. So I sat and I thought, okay, I got to do something here.
Yeah.
So I really stopped a lot of outside stimulation, except in the form of books. Because I felt that if I could educate myself, I couldn't really hurt myself.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I began to study all the great teachings, different perspectives, people that came from different lands than I did, people that came from different forms of thought. And when I read them, not only did I do it to educate myself, but I did it to see where I could align with them. And then through my practice, where I have been fortunate to have coached some of the most incredible human beings ever, I don't always think like they do.
Mm-hmm.
So wow, what a gift for me to sit in front of somebody that I really want their lives to become magical and have their dreams come true. And then at the same time have to check myself because it's not my position to judge them. That's big.
That is big. One of the things that you've taught me is we teach people how to treat us.
Oh, yeah.
And I learned that from you probably that first day when I was complaining about this bad relationship that I was in, again, choosing to stay in this relationship, right? And it wasn't till we started having these conversations that I realized it's my own empowered or disempowered choice, whichever one I'm going to make, and how I talk about it and how I live my life. And for anyone who has not worked with a coach of any kind, do yourself a favor, like have somebody to reflect back to you, because had I not had you in my life and our friend Trish at the time and the books that I was reading and some that you recommended, I don't know that I would be here, right? I was suffering. And when you talk about the quintessentials in tool number 8, the spoken word, and you introduce yourself, you give us an example. You mention holding the mirror. So can you share that with our audience? Because I think it's so beautiful what you do for the people in your life.
Well, again, everybody that knows me knows that I really believe once you really see yourself for who you really are, your life can begin, because the bullshit's out of the way. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, this is who you really are, not these circumstances, not these judgments, you're not that. And so one of the things that I think is really important, and that's why I call myself, you know, the best mirror holder in town. I get to hold a mirror in front of someone for as long as it takes, because what's really happening is every day you're looking in the mirror, that's not you. That's all of the entanglements. It's all of the judgments. It's all of the trauma you're bringing with you instead of the possibility. You know, spiritually, we, in my opinion, have agreed to be here at this time on earth to experience this shift. This is the shift. And no shift comes easily.
No.
And so I feel that this is really important to look in the mirror and actually see yourself. You know, we're all so judgmental of even ourselves. You know, we weigh too much. We don't have enough money. We're too old. We're too young. We're too everything. I'm too educated. I'm not educated enough. I'm this, I'm that. Like, it's all that, right?
Exhausting.
And when you're too everything, you can't see yourself. And that's why for me, when I work, you know, I'm very practical. I'm a business coach. I coach people of very high net worth as well. But without the internal component of the truth of who you are, you're never going to, you may achieve it, you're not going to sustain it. Because just sustaining something without joy isn't really living. And we
Say that
wonder
again.
why there's so many unhappy people at such high levels in the world. And the
Mm.
unhappy people, and I mean the high levels financially. And then
Yes.
you have people that are at challenged levels thinking, oh, if I just get to that level, I'm like, hey, have you looked at that person? Does that look like joy to you? You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to define what, do you even know? You know, I had this question for a client of mine recently. I said, what does success mean to you? Well, what do you mean? I go, exactly. What do I
Right.
mean?
Most people assume it's a number in a bank account.
What does it really mean? And I said, and I want you to excavate that within yourself. And in our next session, you get back to me on it because you don't know. You're letting other people define you. And
Mm.
so recently, this whole experience, this political experience we have all had, is going to be able to show us who can walk their talk or not. See, when I become angry and hateful and start acting like the people that I'm judging,
Mm.
I didn't win.
Right.
And just because a certain political party doesn't win, and maybe the person we didn't vote for didn't win, but you still can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's power. I'm glad it's over. That frequency, I'm glad it's over. Now
Yeah.
we can do something.
Right. Well, I appreciated on our Zoom the other night, you introduced Marianne Williamson on Marcy Cole's First Tuesday Global. And Marianne, echoed similar to what Kamala said in her speech is acceptance, right? We have to accept what's going on now and
And move
then
forward.
and move forward, right? And when we want to create something, whether it's in the world or for ourselves, we can have all the intention that we want to have. But there's a beautiful Quaker saying, which is pray, but move your feet. Intention plus action is how we create our lives. And, as you were talking about success and you asked your client, what does success mean to you? As you asked that, of course, I'm trying to answer in my head. Everyone who's watching or listening to this is answering it in their head. And the answer that I've come to quickly, and I'm going to excavate it more for myself, excavate it more for myself, is it's a feeling. It's peace.
Yes.
It's peace in everything that I do.
So like Saint Francis, His prayer was, make me an instrument of your peace.
Yes, please.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what am I walking into? Am I walking into this market with hate in my heart? Am I walking into this library with envy and after a wonderful evening of emotional self-cutting? What am I doing here? And I feel that, yes, when you get stung by a bee, it fucking hurts. But how long are you going to let it hurt? You pull the stinger out, you put some medication on it, and in a little bit of time, it will die down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't keep looking at it. This is where the bee stung me. This is where the bee stung me. 3 days ago, this is where the bee stung me. 3 weeks ago, this is where the bee stung me. 3 months ago, this is where the bee stung me. That's what people do. Right. And I'm not kidding. So yeah, if you got stung, ouch. And your responsibility then is self-care. You cannot be who you really want to be for the world, indulging in your own pain and thoughts and fears that haven't happened yet.
I like the word indulging. And when people, and I can go off my own experience, when we indulge so much and we, there's a difference between actually being a victim of something and then living or staying in victimhood.
Correct.
And that indulgence of pain for some people becomes a point of pride, like a battle scar.
A badge of honor.
A badge of honor. So do you remember something you said to me when I was in my 20s? It completely changed my life. I'll tell
Which one?
One of the many things. But I'll never forget. I was in my living room and you called me because you do this. You just have these moments and you just call me and you tell me something about myself that I didn't know. And you're like, how are you? Right. And so I'm going down the laundry list of the 9 different jobs I have and this and that and where I'm going and what I'm doing. And it's so hard, but I'm doing it and I did it. And you said, Elysia, get off the cross. We need the wood. And I was stunned. I was like, what? And so that's the day I looked up the definition of a martyr. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm working so hard and wearing it like a badge of honor. Let me show everybody how much I'm working, how much I'm suffering, how much fun you all get to have that I don't get to have. I don't get to. You get to. I don't get to. Right? Because blah, 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 blah.
All the reasons.
Oh my gosh. It's like it was a spiritual slap on the ass. And I remember I sat with it for a couple of days. And I was like, that's not cute. I don't want to be that girl. I want to be proud of what I've done. And I don't need to work this hard. And all the things like that changed my life.
Well, sometimes we just need someone to mirror to us our behaviors, right? And so, yeah. What do I get to do today?
Mm-hmm.
What one thing do I get to do today? And if it is, I get to breathe effortlessly. What a gift, because some people don't get that. I heard a man say this morning, there is a very large group of people in this world that are not going to live to see the sunset today.
Yeah.
It's true. I was just like, oh, it's so true.
So true.
So if we can go, okay, we tally our pains and what's wrong. I teach this in my workshop for women. You've got a list of everything you need to improve so that you can have a great life versus what am I already good at and how do I do more of that? But we don't do that as women and we don't do that as people. So we're very clear where our pain is. We're very clear who has our obstacles in front of us. We are very clear about what rights we don't have or what we don't. What do we have? Where can we make one step? I was talking to this group of people recently about the journaling of yes. You know, if you've been my client and you have all these journals, by the time you've worked with me long enough and you trust me and I work some sense into you, we come to my house and you burn them in my fireplace.
Mm.
Because what you have done is you are registering all your pain. Oh, today, and this was this. So you've got books and books and books and books of low frequency pain in a corner. And then, like 3 years later, let's have a glass of wine and let me read about my pain again. Really? Who wants to do that?
No.
That's the antiquated form of journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to sit down with a journal and write everything that worked, what you
Mm.
remembered about today that you loved. What miracle happened today? Even if it was, I got out of bed and my left knee didn't hurt for the first time in 3 weeks. That's a miracle. Okay. And if
Mhm.
you have books and books and books and books of that frequency sitting there, then get a glass of wine in 3 years and open that and go, oh, yeah, remember that day? Oh, that was awesome. Oh, I remember that phone call. That was amazing. And guess what happens? While you're reading it, your frequency's going up and your whole life is going up. And then all of a sudden, you'll have a flash about something new in business that you need to do that's actually going to work. But
Mhm.
what we've done is we have indulged in our pain. Not only do we indulge in it, we write about it. And
Ugh.
then we keep it for years under our bed so that the frequency comes up when we're sleeping. And we're wondering why we're not sleeping because we've written about our incest and our losses and our cancers and our all the shit that we've lost, loss of siblings, I lost my brother a few years ago. What am I going to write a diatribe about that and then read about that a few years later?
Mm-mm.
No, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I lived it already. I'm not going to do that. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. What you focus on expands. It's law of attraction 101, and the way that you've described it, you're alchemizing it, whether it's
Journey,
there,
yes.
right?
What have your yeses been? We know, and especially a very, at least half the country in America, a little under half, but half, got a big no. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to lift your frequency? And like I told you back in the beginning, when you tell me no, it's not going to work for me.
Oh, yeah.
So how do I move forward with the words we have forgotten, like grace, dignity, power, compassion? That's the only way we're going to change anything. So, and what does that mean for me? I have to be accountable and responsible for myself, to myself. So I'm not going to sit and watch tonight. Nothing personal about anybody who does this, but I'm not going to watch true crime tonight.
No.
Exactly. No, I am not.
Not
I'm
right
going to
now.
probably open a book about human destiny and people that have overcome and families that have come together to create things versus families that separated because of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am going to inundate myself with that so that I don't fall prey to the puppets, the puppeteering of others and the manipulation of others, whether it be in the form of media, whether it be in the form of whatever it is. When you allow yourself to be manipulated, you then are, again, at a disadvantage. And that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree, Mama. And we are sensitive. We are
Oh,
sensitive beings. And when so much of the world and many people in our communities are feeling devastated, why indulge more into devastation, like you
correct.
just said,
Correct.
right? And I led a Zoom last night because a handful of my clients had reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you lead a grounding meditation? We just need some grounding right now." And so last night we got on Zoom and I talked for a bit before we grounded. And I said, when I woke up on Wednesday morning, the day after the, election, I turned to my husband and I said, "It's time to create. It's time to create art. It's time to create music. It's time to go. Whatever we've been waiting on, there's why? There's no more time to wait."
The world needs it. And it's so funny because that's my theme this week in my social media is what are you creating? Are you creating more discord within yourself and then mirroring it in the world? Are you creating more fear within yourself and then projecting that onto the world? Are you allowing your beautiful, sensitive self to be influenced by the hatred and the fear of others? Like, really, what are you creating? And when you take responsibility for that, it's a big deal.
It's huge.
And it's
It'll
not
change your life.
easy. And it's not easy. But, this is the human experience. Pick your hard. Okay, pick your hard. It's all hard.
It's really hard work. Watching my husband outside while it's 90 degrees out in the sun as he's digging a trench for the pool that we're putting in. Or the thing, like he's doing physical labor, sweating in the sun, which he's not supposed to be in the sun. Like he's moving wheelbarrows full of concrete. That shit's hard. Right. And that's my perspective. That shit's hard. And I'm not saying that to diminish anyone who's feeling like their experience is hard. But like you said earlier, that shift in perspective can create that internal miracle. And then we can go, I get to wake up today and I get to see the sunrise tonight.
I get to. And what's my yes today? And then you start focusing on, wow, I get to walk on these feet today. And you don't appreciate the legs that carry you until they don't. Or the eyes you have to see. Like if you really sat down and did a gratitude journal, and you know me, I have my clients do gratitude journals, you have more to be grateful for than you do to fear or to think doesn't work for you. And again, I'm not saying not to have your experience of pain, but make it like a coupon for a limited time only.
Yep.
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Look at your yeses, what you get to do, who you need to be, what you love. When you build, like if women are worried about their rights, I get it. I am one. But what do you love about women? What do you love about our opportunities? We have more financial resources than we did in the 70s.
Yes.
We lead more now. Don't put your mindset back in the 70s. Catch up. We have power. Money is power. Now, do we have as much of it equitably as we should? Not yet. But if you don't move the needle in here, you ain't going to move it out there.
No.
So this is responsibility. And people don't want to be responsible. They want someone else to do it for them. And they want a talking head to tell them what to think versus reading and researching. Am I actually seeing things as they really are?
Why is that? Why do people decide to be so busy that they won't sit in silence like you've suggested and they won't do their own research? Where does that come from?
Well, sometimes I believe it comes from just habitually trying to avoid the monsters under the bed. See, we've created this story of fear since we were children. Some children have had traumatic beginnings that we couldn't even understand. And you had a tragic beginning I couldn't even understand.
I don't even think mine's that bad compared to a lot of people.
Well,
but that's my perspective.
Again. So we've done so much to avoid really feeling pain and trauma that we just kept that up. So I don't really have to see things. Sometimes, even if I don't really want to see things, that's why people are so devastated when a quote unquote celebrity they loved, has the mask taken off and then everybody sees it them for who they are, and then they freak out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know what? Here's the deal. What about you didn't want to see that to begin with? We don't want to see things. And I would rather see it. Let it sting me. I'll be fine. They're just avoiding being stung. Or what if this is the big thing, and this is a big conversation that I've been having with people politically? What if what I believed was wrong? I don't think I could handle that. I don't think I could handle being wrong. And I go, oh, okay, so your ego is running the show out of self-preservation that you're carrying along with you. What if you could be in this moment instead of with your mind being open, with your heart opening? What would that look like? I have no idea. Good to know. Because if you don't know, how's the world going to know? If you don't know what love looks like or feels like, and you don't have to have a lover, anybody that has a pet knows what love feels like. And actually, probably better and safer than with your human partner, by the way, right? Right? And unconditional love.
No.
Right? So if you don't know, how do you expect them to know? It's okay that you were wrong about somebody or something. And that could be the case on both sides of the aisle.
Absolutely. And that goes back to forgiveness, which you know is one of my favorite topics in the whole world and a big topic of discussion the other night on the Zoom that we were on. And if we are feeling that shame or that guilt or questioning who we are, what we believe in, we feel disconnected from who we thought we were, which is shaky ground as a human with an ego, right? And we're not escaping this ego until we die. You know, the ego loves the body. So here we are, but our soul is eternal and our soul is love. And it's a choice on which one we lead from.
And it's not easy.
No, that's why we're having these conversations.
It's not easy to discipline your own mind and say, Andrea, make a different choice right now. And then I breathe it in. Okay, if I were to make a different choice, what would it look like? I mean, I have to talk to myself like this. Because if I don't, the ramifications of an undisciplined mind is a life of fear and pain. And I have a very low tolerance for pain. See, those people who have high tolerances for pain, I don't know who they are, because you got to lower that tolerance. Some people have had so much pain, their whole life is like a callus. So you just got to shave it a little bit and keep going, moisturizing, keep going, shave it, moisture, moisture, moisture. Get rid of that thing so that you can actually feel. A lot of people told me after the election they were numb because they don't want to feel.
Yeah.
And I get it. Let the bee sting you. You'll live.
You'll live. That's the
You'll
thing.
live. We're going to live. We're going to live. Human beings will live on. This is not the end. This is the beginning. And every day the sun comes up. And yes, the sun is going down tonight. But like if you were really in your body experiencing and living your life, you would be connected more with nature than you are with Netflix. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I need it, you guys. We need to become the world we want to live. We have to become the life we want to live. If I will only love people that think like me, this is why we have the world now.
Yeah.
Right?
Big
And
time.
so we are vast beyond belief.
We are. And I think getting back to nature is not as appreciated. And people have started to take that idea for granted, the way they also take the idea of gratitude for granted. And it wasn't until I had my own little wake up call, I got an ad for some class about earthing. I was like, what the fuck is earthing?
I heard.
I look at it and I'm like, wait, you mean like going outside barefoot? That's what that term means. And I was like, I'm so glad that there's a term for this now. And the fact that there had to be a term for it because
Before
people aren't doing it. It's like,
you,
oh my gosh.
you study, if you really want to watch something that's going to blow your mind,
Mm-hmm.
watch the documentary on YouTube called Earthing, the documentary. Do
Yeah.
you know we started having chronic issues as a human species when we stopped being from leather based shoes to the tennis shoe bottom?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
There's a scientific study on it. Like, you know how they used to have leather soled shoes that would always wear out? But
Mm-hmm.
leather is natural. So leather to earth is still
Mm-hmm.
grounding. I was like, what?
Oh,
I love
yeah.
learning so that I can do things. I bought a grounding pad. I have it under my desk. I bought my mom a grounding pad. She needs to watch it when she's watching General Hospital. She needs to put her feet on it.
Yep.
It's like, you know,
I bought the one you sent me for my bed now, and Kaylin and I have been sleeping amazingly
oh, you
since
are
we
sleeping.
started using.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Groundwell sheets.
we're sleeping better.
Of course.
I'm waking up earlier. I'm like, who am I? I got up at 5:30 the other day and I channeled this whole thing for an event and then I launched it in like one day. I'm like,
Because you're grounded and we're spending
grounded.
time being ungrounded. And when you're watching negative news 24 hours a day, you are ungrounded. This are some of the things. You know what was great back in the old days is there was only one news program. It wasn't 24 hours. And then TV shut off with an American flag or went at like
Yeah.
ah. So if you were up at night, what did you do? You read. We're going to find it's just like when they said vinyl was dead. Well, vinyl is back.
It's
Okay.
back, baby.
So,
Mm-hmm.
let's bring back nature, connection, forgiveness, and the saying that Marianne Williamson so eloquently wrote in A Return to Love, which was, if I could have done it better, I would have. That's what you have to say. That's forgiveness. If
Mm-hmm.
I could have done it better, I really would have. Just in that moment, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And maybe you need to look at other human beings who you think did something different than you, or voted different than you, or prayed different than you, or sleeps with someone different than you. And just say, wow, in that judgment of them, if I could have done it better, I would have. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
There it
sorry
is.
to me,
There it
because
is.
my hatred and my judgment of others messes with my cortisol, not their cortisol.
100%.
Right?
Oh, yeah. And when I was in the breakout room with Marianne, we were having a conversation around forgiveness. And first of all, I was so grateful. Like, what a beautiful privilege to have 8 minutes with her.
I know.
And I had said to this other woman in our small breakout room, like, hey, this whole experience that's happening right now is an opportunity for forgiveness. And Marianne asked me as a teacher, rhetorically, right? She said, well, who are we forgiving? Are we forgiving the people who voted for him? And I said, no, that's not it. And she said, right, we're forgiving ourselves.
Correct. And that's why her new book, which I'm crazy about, The Mystic Jesus, I had it on during, it's not that I'm religious, and I am not religious at all.
Yeah,
I
we're the
believe
same.
that I'm very spiritual. And that book, The Mystic Jesus by Marianne Williamson, really talked about, please, with the Christ consciousness, not Jesus Christ, a man or a religion, this consciousness of love, please prevent me from hating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was playing during the election.
Oh,
That on Audible in my house, asking for, help me see it in a different way that I would have never seen it. And she also said, which I really love, it's easy to love when everything goes your way. It's so easy. I'm so
yeah.
happy. It went my way. I can love. The true test of your character is, can you love when it doesn't go your way? That's Christ consciousness. That's the Holy Spirit. That's your magic as a human being.
That's your opportunity for growth and evolution.
Correct. And that's why, people say I teach practical magic.
You do.
Because I practically can get you to look at things, and we can 1 + 1 = 2 it.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be open enough that there is magic behind it. And so, each human being, and not just one on one side or the other, is magic. Each human being has a light and a contribution. And, I always say that the problem that women have is we indulge in trying to figure out a way in our lives to make not our people our people. If they're not your people, you don't have to hate them. You just don't have to look at them or deal with them. Cut it off. Find your people, and not find your people in hate. Don't meet at your pain. Meet at your magnificence.
When we're younger, trauma bonding
Yes.
is like so delicious,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And in doing your workshops, and if you haven't read Andrea's book, it's on Audible, delivered in her beautiful voice, and of course you can get it on Amazon and everywhere else. But in chapter 2, she talks about the I ams. So we don't have time to get into that completely today. But what you're talking about in this chapter is about finding your people and your soul made visible, and those connections. And when we choose to connect from the truth of who we are, we get to release judgment and make better choices about our relationships, which in turn becomes our self-care.
Right. And yourself, right? Looking for you and being good for yourself. So, we have all these labels now on people that take care of themselves. Narcissist. And, do you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
there is narcissism is a true problem, but not everyone who takes care of themselves is a narcissist.
Right. I remember I was in middle school, and a friend of mine said to me, "You're so self-centered." I was like, "What does that mean?" And she goes, "You act like the world revolves around you." And I was like, "My world does revolve around."
And if it doesn't, no wonder we feel out of alignment and out of sorts, right? So people want to know a few steps to try to get themselves centered at this time.
Please.
Number 1, carve out a small amount of time to just see how long you can be quiet. And if it's for a minute, that was a minute longer than it was last time. Mm-hmm. And a little, like I said, a fun thing is shh, shh, shh. You can't hear through a shh. You're trying to go shh.
It's so annoying.
So annoying, but it's so clearing. Mm-hmm. Or when a thought comes in, I can't believe that.
Cloud.
Watch it go away. Okay. Mm-hmm. Try to find some quiet. Turn off, not try to. Turn off outside stimulus that doesn't bring joy. Okay? Number 3, ask yourself empowering questions.
Could you give us some examples?
If I could have a day that felt great to me today, what would it look like? What could I actually do today that would allow me to feel more gratitude, feel like I'm healing, and feel like I can open my heart? Like, life's about the questions, not the answers. The answers always come. But if you ask yourself negative questions, you're going to receive negative answers.
Yeah. When you spoke at the day spa on Larchmont, and I think this was like 2007 or something, and you talked about the side of the room that you focus on. Could you share that with us today? Because exactly what you said.
Yeah. So you kind of look at life like I used to call it splitting the room, right? This side of the room is everything in your life that's not working. Every pain you've ever had, every betrayal, every bad experience that's ever had is right over here. And you're navigating and you're watching it, and you've got it color coordinated and coded and everything so that you can actually have the illusion that you have power over it. This side of the room is everything in your life that has worked, every yes you've been given, everybody that does love you. But you don't ever go in there because you're too busy navigating this. And then when you look through the law of attraction, like attracts like, when you are navigating what didn't work, the universe says, oh, well, then here's more to navigate on that side of the room. It's kind of like we talk about dogs. I have white German Shepherds, right?
Yeah.
I see them everywhere. Everywhere I go, there's a white German Shepherd. And people are like, I never see them. I go,
never see them.
because you don't have one. Right?
Yeah.
This is it. It's just like driving a car. You have a car you've never owned before. As soon as you get that car, you look on the freeway, everybody's driving it.
100%.
Everybody's driving the same car as you. The human mind begins to see what it is experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're experiencing the inventory of your life's pain, the universe will allow you to experience more of that because you are the creator in this creation. So when you're over here, looking at everything that's worked, everyone that's loved you, every yes you've ever had, every opportunity, the law of attraction works that way too. And it will give you more over here to fill that up. And you cannot build a life on what is not working. You can only build a life on what is working and the expansion of that. And when you get that, it's not like you're putting pink paint on it or making it happy. Those things really happened in the yes side as much as those things happened in the no side.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying those things didn't happen to you. I'm just saying you don't have to go back in there and play with them.
Mm-hmm.
Get on this side.
Yeah.
And figure out how to expand more of what worked. How do I receive more yeses? What a great question.
I love that.
How do I receive more yeses?
Yeah.
How do I receive an expansion of the abundance I already have?
There it is.
Because if you don't think you have any abundance, that's over there. And the universe says, I'm going to keep you in lack of abundance because you don't get that. You don't. People, someone said to me once, Andrea, I only have $100 in savings. And I said, that's $100.
It's $100.
You're the one in judgment that it isn't a lot. The second you put it over here and you start being grateful for that $100 and you understand that you at least have a savings period and you don't label it big or little, next thing you know, you're gonna have another $100.
Yeah.
But it's the people that worry about everything shrinking. They're gonna be right. You're gonna be right no matter what, by the way. You're gonna be right over here or you're gonna be right over here. You're gonna be right. Whatever you do, you're right.
I was sharing this philosophy with someone recently, and they tend to focus a lot on the negative and what's not working. And I said, look, this is how the universe works, law of attraction. And they said, well, that's pretty messed up that the universe is set up to punish me. And I was like,
that's okay. That's perception.
Right. And I said, only if what you want is punishment, right? The universe has no opinion on which item you're choosing. It just wants to give you more of what it thinks you want that you are focusing on. And that is the secret.
Yes. And what you are seeking is seeking you.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most incredible sayings of the past. What you're seeking seeks you. So if you're seeking validation of your pain, you will be validated on a regular basis.
Yeah. And you also just touched on whatever it is we receive, right? And then we can be in judgment of it.
Oh yeah, it's not enough. Like I talk about the diamond ring. You get engaged and you don't think it's big enough. Do you know how many people would kill that someone could love them?
Oh my
gosh. They wouldn't care about the ring. Do you understand what we do to ourselves as humans? We judge everything. It's too big, it's too small, it's not this, it's like, and no wonder we're all in a spiritual crisis.
Mm-hmm. Before I really embraced this work, I remembered a conversation we had similar to this, and I had bought my first Toyota Prius. I don't remember what year this was, probably 2008 or something. And I'm on the freeway in Hollywood, and I had a gray Prius, and all of a sudden, the only cars I'm seeing are gray Priuses, right? So, me, I try to, I own my black sheepness, and so I felt not cool. I was like, I am not cool. Everybody has this friggin' car. I am not cool, right? So then fast forward, I have the car I have now. And I noticed this recently. Now, when I see that car with the red interior, I see it and I'm like, someone else has the same car. I'm so cool.
And you're not in resistance anymore.
No. And I'm also not judging my experience of fitting in or standing out the same way.
Correct. And when you can do that, sweetie, when you can do that, and that's why you're such an inspiration to us, because if you can sit where you're sitting, coming from what your story was, it's like Jesus said, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, love. While we still have a little bit of time, earlier we had touched on the word failure. And I used to be in so much resistance to that word. Also, with anger, it's all connected. And when you teach your workshops, you jokingly talk about, you had the drive-through of marriages and this and that, and being so close to you. I have the privilege of knowing quite a bit of detail about the relationships that you've had and things that have gone on in your life. And when I want to talk a little bit about that, right? Because you've been through some shit.
Human experience, girl.
You have been through some shit. And at what point, and feel free if there's any of it that you are open to sharing with us, because you do talk about it quite a bit in your workshops, but at what point did you get sick of your own shit and you were like, oh my gosh, I can't do this a third time. I can't do this again. I want to be more successful. I want whatever that means to you. And I want to have love. I want to make more money. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. Like, what had happened? And then what was the shift?
Well, I just kept seeing how I kept creating what I didn't want. That the power of what I didn't want kept resonating to create what I was living. And I had gone through 2 very stressful, painful divorces.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone through financial ruin. I had gone through a lot of loss. I had always been a seeker, first of all. I'd always studied. But what I realized was I began thinking to myself, oh my God, you know better. You're just not applying what you know. You're not applying everything I know. Because what do most human beings say? Oh, I know. You're not supposed to eat that. Oh, I know that. I know if I just would exercise, things would be different. I know that if I would just have done that, things would be different. I know. We know. We just don't apply it. And so I realized how lazy I was being with my own creation. I was willing to take responsibility and stop being a victim. They didn't do it to me anymore. I realized that I did it to me again and again and again. And then I just got to the point where, you know what? Let me try something new. I was willing for the new way to fail. I was okay with that. I just knew the old way was a failure because I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't happy. I was poor. I was really in a bad way. Like I used to have those top ramens, those noodles, and I would break them in half, and I got half for one night's dinner, and then half for the next night's dinner.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't know enough then to have been grateful that I had that top ramen because some people didn't even have the top ramen.
Wow.
So I just figured, and I had so much shame that I didn't want people to know how bad off I was. I didn't want people to know that I had failed again and again and again, and I could not possibly tell people the truth.
Who are those people?
Family, friends, whoever was in my circle. And when you really came down to it, I couldn't tell me the truth.
Your tolerance for suffering went down.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because some of us hide behind a curtain of an enormous amount of shame. He should know better. She should know better. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I was just like, I just can't do this to myself anymore, and sometimes you just get like, fuck it. I don't care if they know anymore. I can't do this. I can't And then by the time your ego and your shame get out of the way and you just tell the truth, people are like, well, why didn't you say anything? I'm here to help you. Don't feel that way. Let me do this for you. Let me help you with this. And then you have so much shame about receiving. No, no, no. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot that you do to yourself. Right. But I knew that if I could ask, and that's when I started praying, and I'm not religious, I just said, dear God, whatever you are, I need help.
Mm.
I just need help. I don't know what that is, and I need help.
So there's surrender in there too.
Yeah, allowing,
Mm-hmm.
releasing, letting go.
Well, it's no wonder so many of these tools are in your book and in your workshops, receiving and asking and letting go in all of them. And
It was a journey. Like I said, I created that curriculum for myself because I was a hashtag mess, right?
Hot Mess Express.
Hot mess express, and I just figured if it worked for me, it's going to work for others because I really believe that I created this curriculum in relationship to the divine. And when I understood that I created this, I'm the creator. Maybe some of the things I received that weren't great, like let's say a woman gets beat. She didn't create that. She creates how she comes back from that.
Hmm.
She creates her choice in how she lives her life. Does that make sense?
It does. Well, I want to go one layer deeper on that from a spiritual perspective, because when I think about getting cancer as one of the many menu items we get to choose as humans, when our little souls jump into these meat suits, I'm not sure how, as far as how detailed the script is written. And I'm not asking you that, but I just want to have a little dialogue around it. Because when we say, well, did I choose to get cancer or not? I don't think Elysia as a human chose to get cancer. But I do believe that my soul on its journey, looking at this lifetime, said, I would like to experience illness. And from there, I will learn and grow. I don't think it was.
And if that's your perception,
Mm-hmm.
that may not be someone else's perception with cancer.
Right.
But what
Right.
if your soul said, I would love to receive the road to my purpose, and however that looks, let it unfold?
That's beautiful.
And that may have been illness for you,
Mm-hmm.
but that may not be illness for someone else.
Correct.
Because a lot of people's illnesses are not tied into their purpose.
Absolutely.
Yours is.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
you get what I'm saying? So it may not have been illness, period. You were coming in for the human experience anyway. You were fucked at hello. Okay. You guys came out of the canal and we're just like, we're here. Shit. Okay. It's gonna be bad.
it's going to be bad.
Bad
Well,
right from the beginning. We have to rely on people. We sit in our own shit in a diaper. Like it's bad from the beginning. Right?
and you know what? We're not getting out of here alive.
No. No. So it's like it's been shit since the beginning for every human walking this experience, and it is your choice. I needed to make different choices so that Andrea could be happy. That's really where it started. If I could make one choice that I know would shift this for me, what would it look like? And I just allow the universe to guide me, and so that I could have an authentic relationship with myself. And if I didn't, I couldn't have one with you, for sure.
Well, and that goes back to the very beginning definition of success in choosing peace and choosing joy. And more often than not, there's forgiveness there. Through that, right? There's our authentic life. Like, it sounds so easy.
Does it? I think it sounds really hard. In fact, it's kind of like forgiveness, right? When we forgive, a lot of people go into forgiveness wanting something. I want validation that I did this. I want to feel, no,
Mm-hmm.
forgive purely to forgive so that you are no longer entangled.
Mm-hmm.
Untangle from that story. You may not get the banners and the "we forgive you too." Maybe you'll be like, I want to be forgiven, and the person on the other one is like, screw you. I don't ever want to talk to you again. You're an asshole.
Or
Okay,
they're already dead and you won't get that validation.
I get it, but people want validation from the living.
Mm-hmm.
They get angry. They don't get it from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, you're like, I want to forgive this situation between us, and they're like, I don't care. You all you want. I hate you. Well, what are you going to do with that? Well, you know what? You're going to untangle. Forgive them. Forgive yourself. Untangle. See yourself untangling with them so that you can move free, because you don't have the control. People want to control. We want to control the narrative, even of our forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
We want to control the narrative, and that's dangerous, because then you can never be happy.
Oof. Yeah, right there. The first time I saw Gary Renard speak about the disappearance of the universe, I asked him, at the time I was not speaking to my father, and I had written my father a letter that I was never going to speak to him ever again. And I said to Gary, I really want to forgive my father, but I don't ever want to have a conversation with him. So I'm not going to explain to him why I'm forgiving him. I'm not going to ask for his forgiveness, and I'm not going to do any of that. I have to do this on my own. Is that possible? And he was like, not only is that possible, that's the only way.
Correct. It's
Right.
the only way.
Mm-hmm.
I send love to the people that hate me. I really do. And I mean it for them, because we're just at different frequencies.
Yeah.
Their frequency isn't my frequency. That doesn't mean that their frequency is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And my job is to remember that I am creating this life experience, me.
Yeah.
How do I want to feel? I don't want to feel anger. It makes me sick. I don't want to feel mean. I don't want to feel judgmental. People are indulging in a dopamine behavior with anger. I've had to go to a lot of my clients with this. They're proud that I've been angry my whole life. I go, no, you're addicted. This is your dopamine, and this is your hit. It's your hit. I'm getting a hit. I'm angry. I hate that. I have a right. I have a this. I have a that. Dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. They don't understand that they're addicted to a behavior that's killing them, because your liver fails with anger. Look it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's in You Can Heal Your Life.
You can
Right?
heal your
Louise
life.
Hay. Mm-hmm.
My father wasn't a drinker at all, but my father was a rageaholic. And my father's last thing, he died of liver failure at the end. I found that to be very interesting.
That is interesting.
And so, I think about that. We carry also lineages of behavior.
Yes.
And so I've worked very hard not that I'm not angry. I was very angry in my life. I worked so hard to not, because, and a great teacher taught me once, because you're your father's sperm made manifest and your mother's egg made manifest, you're their living, walking DNA. So every time you fight the anger, he's not angry anymore. So when we have that responsibility within our lineage, that the second your parent is this certain way, when you choose to be not that way and work so hard at it, because you are them living, they have now been healed. And so has your whole lineage.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. This is like this stuff. This is so fun. Like, this is so yummy, and so many people are like, I don't want to go anywhere near that stuff. And I'm like, look, I love a career. I love nice things. I love all that. But like, this is why we're here. So like,
And you know what? They may not like it. And
Mhm.
it's okay.
Yeah.
They'll like it when they're supposed to or not. But
Yeah.
they will get it either this lifetime or the next, if that's what
Mhm.
you believe. I
Yep.
still want to come back. I'm negotiating a non-return. I'm going to negotiate a non-return up there. This is not my place.
One-way trip, baby.
One
Oh my
way.
gosh. Okay. Well, as we wrap up, I got two more questions for you. One, when you win the lottery jackpot, which is, I mean, like $1 billion at this point, what's the first thing you do when you find out you've won? And how do you spend your time?
Okay. The first thing I do is like jump up and down with my husband and go, oh my God, look at all the good we can do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
that for me is a dream. Like I practice calling people and telling them, that I have won the lottery. I practice that. I practice telling them that I have won and this is what I'm going to do for them and they don't have to worry anymore.
I love it.
So that, yeah, right. And I will spend my time in my life
Mm-hmm.
doing exactly what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
No amount of money is going to make me stop coaching,
Mm-hmm.
stop leading, stop teaching. So I don't see myself being any different than who I am. I will just see the opportunity to give more
Yeah.
than I do now. That's all.
Right. Well, you're on purpose. And so that's exactly right. And when some people answer this question and it's something completely different than what they're doing or in addition to what they're doing, which is fair. Mine's in addition to what I'm doing. And
Correct.
it's always a clue to us that we could be doing more of that and bring that joy into our life now, and oh my gosh, we're going to have so much fun spending that money. We're going to
Girl,
top off all those GoFundMes. Like it's going to, all the animals.
girl.
How many?
I'll start a platform called I'll Fund You. That's me. I'll fund you. Sign up.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this publicly, but my friend Ingrid and I, when we win the lottery or when we have our huge success, we want to start a secret society called Fairy Godmothers of the World, where we're going to tell anybody it's us. And then we're just like, what do you need? What do you need? Right? Have a council.
What if you got that you already won the lottery? What if you got that in this moment you have already won it in this lifetime? It's just an expansion of where you stood already, not wait for something. I've already won the lottery.
You have.
So have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's a lesson in the Brilliance Method called You've Already Won. We'll talk more about that. And Andrea is a guest lecturer in the Brilliance Method, teaching asking. So my third and final question for you, darling, is what's coming up and how can this audience connect with you further?
What's coming up for me in the new year, can you believe it, is more workshops. You can get to my website, andreaquinncoaching.com, and see we're going to be doing a lot of revamping. My book is going to come out again. We're revising my book because so much magic has happened for people with it over the last few years we're doing the expanded edition with all the new magical things that have happened since women started doing the book. So for me, workshops are still very, very big. Coming into corporations, I'm doing a lot more businesses now, going into the companies and making a difference on, I don't need to teach anybody how to work. I need to teach people how to be at work. And that's where I shine as far as going into corporations. Who are you in those rooms? I think that's a big thing.
That's awesome. And I'm looking forward to hearing more of those stories of magic in the Quintessentials. There's quite a few stories in each chapter throughout the book of somebody applied the tool and then their life changed and this is how, or, they had a breakthrough. And so hearing more of those stories or hearing new stories, that's going to be so fun. I've really been enjoying seeing you speak publicly a lot more recently. So I'm looking forward to more of that too. And
I'm going to be doing a lot of lives.
Yeah.
Facebook, and Instagram lives, actually more Instagram. So my Instagram is Andrea Quinn Coaching. If people want to follow me, I will be doing more Insta lives and just, I just talk shit, I just want to talk and I just want to say, hey, what are you doing? Who are you being? Why are you being mean to yourself? Why are you doing this? And just having a conversation with others that maybe I need to hear.
There it is. That's great. And hey, the beauty of that, you get to play it right back. Right? I love it. Well, all of your links, how to find you and all of your resources and your book, they are in the description of this episode. So it'll be easy to find her. I know she has, some courses coming up in the future too on demand.
Oh,
so
yes.
There's so much in your world. We probably can't even list them all, but
actually I forgot about, I'm working on that too. I have that course coming up.
Oh my gosh. Well, backstory. I was Andrea's assistant for a long time, and I'm one of her coaches. So I'm very involved and invested in her world and her happiness and in her business and her expansion. So it's one of my greatest joys to brag about you, to share you with my people, and to see you grow and light up the world around you. You're such a bright light. So thank you, Mama, for being on the
Thank you.
show. I love
Thank you, honey. I love you. Thank you.
you. All right. Talk to you soon.